Okay.
All right, you guys. Thank you for joining me on the listening room this evening. My name is Eddie Booz, and with me today is my guest, Mr. Kyle Romero from the Mind Tasting Podcast. How are you doing, Kyle?
I'm doing very well.
Wonderful to have you this evening. Wonderful to have you guys. Wonderful to see all of you guys out here as well. One thing I always like to start the show off with a little bit of gratitude before anything else. So one thing I'm grateful for this day in particular, I've been thinking a lot about my grandmother lately, my brother. As you guys can tell, I've mentioned family before. Family means an awful lot to me, and my grandmother was one of the most influential women in my entire life, and I wanted to just throw a shout out and say that I love my grandmother, and I'm very happy and grateful to have got to spend as much time with her as I did, and she was a wonderful woman, and I'm happy and grateful for every single day that I got to spend with that woman. So what about you, Kyle? What are you grateful for today?
You know what? I'm actually going to jump on your idea here, and I'm going to say my grandpa, who died, was like the first family member that died in like my family, basically, first close person, and so I'm grateful for him. But I'm also, what I want to add to it is his like love in life was tennis.
Oh.
And so I'm grateful for tennis because It's one of those sports that like it's the judges, the line judges aren't, I mean, they make a judgment call, but you can always like review it and say like, and then they'll check if it actually hit. It's just this pure authentic way of like you versus me, and it's this pure competitive like one-on-one.
Sure.
I don't know, there's this purity I think to tennis of like your whole job is to get the ball past me, and it's like, can you do that or not? And no, there's no like these like rules or referees, or it's not a super complicated sport. There's a purity to it. And my grandpa loved it, and he played until he was 70. He actually played the day he died.
You're kidding.
And he was actually in good health. And it was a brain aneurysm type of thing that caused a stroke, and that's what ended up. But his body was actually really strong.
Really healthy. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so tennis has always had a special place in my heart. Just wanted to shout that out.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that about you. I didn't know that tennis has always had a special place in your heart, and that your grandfather was a tennis player.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Growing up, I would watch it all the time, the Sampras and like Agassi days.
Wow, very cool, man.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome. You know, I actually share a very similar experience with sports with my grandmother, actually. Growing up, my grandmother had season tickets to the Angels, to the California Angels, since before I was born. So I grew up actually going to see my grandmother. Going with my grandmother to see the Angels play.
Yeah.
I mean, this is back when Wally Joyner and Brian Downing and Dick Schofield and Gary.
You're just a kid, dude.
These are back in the this is back in the 80s. You know, when I would go in to see the Angels play, and so I got a very similar experience to really get to experience something live, something pure. So America's greatest pastime. I'm saying with my grandmother. So I definitely can relate to that, to being able to share that type of thing with your grandmother. That's with your grandfather, with some family member. That's really, really amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome, and to be able to, and guys, like I always say on the show, it's extremely important to be able to acknowledge, count, and celebrate the things you're grateful for in life. And being active in your own emotional and mental health is key. And celebrating the things you're grateful for is one of the easiest and most direct ways to continue to stay there. Yeah. To continue to be active in that emotional and mental health. Jessica, I love it. She says, I am grateful for my freedom. Being cooped up during the quarantine has made me appreciate how free I truly am. I love that, Jessica. Absolutely. That's fantastic.
Preach.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you guys, I invite you all to do exactly what Jessica just did, and just really quickly acknowledge something you're grateful for. Acknowledge something you're grateful for today. Acknowledge something that you know you're going to be grateful for a week from now.
Yeah. I think another thing when in gratitude practice is choosing things that are nice and simple, and as you said, are kind of everlasting. Tomorrow it's going to be true. Yesterday it's going to be true.
Right.
Don't attach your happiness to things that can be taken away. Like, I'm
so
grateful for
true.
Like my job, if you would have a job or something, or some type of, or sometimes it's like your significant other or relationship that might go away, and then when that goes away, like I think one of the practices with gratitude practice is getting in touch with these core things that are essential to your spirit and essential to you, and are kind of these simple things in life, so that you don't waver or you don't get there's this story Eckhart Tolle talks about. It's actually a story from the Bible, where a man who builds his house on sand versus a man who builds a house on rock. Right? Like having a foundation that can withstand the forces of external, when things are going wrong, what is still there?
Right.
You will always have those memories with your grandma. I'll always have the memories with my grandpa. I said earlier, I'm grateful for sunlight. We're always going to have the sun. Choose these things that are simple and essential to life, so that they can't be touched.
Exactly.
So that even in a pandemic, even in the craziest times, you still have these core foundational gratitude practices.
Right. You said something that rings extremely true to everyone out there, really, whether you know it or not. And that's that you can't allow an external source to make you happy.
It's got to be inside.
You can't rely on some outside thing to bring, the fulfillment into your life, to bring the joy into your life. I mean, you're going to have days where you experience things, or you meet people that, or whatever, you have a meal, or you go somewhere, you go to Disneyland.
We all live in this world.
You have you have ups and downs, right? But the more you put weight on someone else's presence in your life, making you whole, or the fact that you have this particular job making you whole, or this
result, like like this type of feedback. I want people to respond to me in a certain way.
Right. Exactly. And when you attach your happiness or your self-worth even to something along those lines, to something external, it almost always ends disastrously.
Yeah.
Because like you said, when that thing can be taken from you, when that thing can, and the blink of an eye, be gone, whether it's a person, a job, a situation, a circumstance, whatever it may be, then if you've based your happiness around that person, and now it's no longer in your life, what do you have now? Now you have sadness.
Yeah.
Now you have sadness until you find how to be happy with yourself, how to enjoy your life, because you're awesome.
Yeah.
Because you are loving things, because you're happy with with who you are, with the decisions you make on a daily basis. I find myself to be most happy when I'm working out, taking care of myself physically, like getting up every morning and like walking Daisy first thing and like doing all that's when I find myself to be the most happy. And you know why? It's not because I'm active. It's because I'm keeping promises to myself. It's because I'm doing things that are in line and that are aligned and in the same values as my authentic self, my true self, who I genuinely am and want to be in this life.
Yeah.
Who I see my best self as.
Yeah.
And I think you and I both, as well as a lot of people out there, are always trying to level up. We're always trying to be the best version of ourselves humanly possible.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to realize too, like everyone out there watching this, you have to realize too that like you may already be that, but think about this. I like to always remind myself that I am perfect and whole in the image I was created. Okay? I am so happy and grateful that I am perfect and whole in the image I was created. However, I always want to be a better version of myself. If I'm not growing, then I'm not stoked.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if I'm look at myself next year at this time and I'm in the exact same place as next year as I am now, then I have no growth to measure. I have no and to be honest with you, my best self is always growing. So if I'm already my best self, but I have a potential to be even better, then that is the key. You can always be a masterpiece work of art, and still be a work of art, still in progress.
And I think how those two ideas come together is that the process of growth is actually not about adding more things. It's about removing and getting out of your own way and removing
Totally.
the things that are actually holding you back, the
Yes.
layers of identity and ego that you've created.
Right.
It's about shedding those. And so that's, as you said, we're whole because inside in the deepest self is the purity. And the only reason it's not showing up that way right now is because you're in your own way and you're covering it up with all these like baggage and layers.
Yeah.
And so by shedding that and actually removing it, realizing that the purest, highest potential is inside you, and the way to grow and the way to be a better version is actually letting go of things.
And allowing instead of just trying to force.
Exactly. It's in allowing and letting go.
Right.
Then all of a sudden next year and the year after, you're an even more authentic expression because you're letting more of your light.
Love that.
We're light, bro.
Love
and
that.
You just gotta let it out.
I love what you said about letting go, because what happens, dude, like, and check this out, like when you make space in your life, when you let go of the good to make space for the great,
Yeah.
that's what happens.
It starts shining
That's
even
what
more.
happens. Dude, and check this out. That goes back to another conversation that Kyle and I had not too long ago. And we were talking about integrative experiences versus separative experiences. So when you have a separative experience, if you choose to give it the meaning, because all the situations, all of the circumstances in life are only have the meaning that we choose to give it. Okay, now if we choose to see a breakup or loss of a job or the loss of whatever it may be as a separative experience, I mean as a separative negative experience, we're gonna feel negative. We're gonna feel bad. We're gonna put that on. We're gonna put that on the experience itself.
Yeah.
Now, if we have the emotional wherewithal to, obviously negative things affect us, and we have got to allow that negative to process before we start to pile positivity on top of it. But if you're able to,
it's almost like if you have that lens.
Yes.
So then when
it's
comes
a perspective.
in,
That's what I'm saying.
When it comes in, it doesn't even come in
That's
as negative.
exactly correct. It's exactly correct. So if
That's
you're
like the next level type.
yes. So it's seeing it as integrative and allowing it to literally see what you just said was creating space, letting it go, being happy about letting it go, and saying that, you know what, because I'm letting this go, because I'm creating space in my life for the better to come into my life, for the best things that the universe is obviously and constantly conspiring for my highest interests.
Yeah.
So let me get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
You know, and let this happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
It's real,
dude,
man.
I love where you came with. I love where you came with that.
Thanks, man.
And on that note, let's take a quick listen to the song we're gonna listen to today. Today's song is called Next Page. I did this song with Nick Lee, Kevin Kablau, and Rob Wheeler, all from Running Rogue. If you guys are all watching, you guys see this, shout out to you guys. Love you all. Actually, I'm going to give Kyle these headphones so you can take a listen to this song. Let me know what you think. And this song is called Next Page.